Welcome to the Everyday Warriors podcast, the perfect space to speak my truth and dive into deep conversations with others. This podcast is about celebrating everyday warriors, the people who face life's challenges head on, breaking through obstacles to build resilience, strength, and courage. Join me, your host, Trudy Marie, as I sit down with inspiring individuals who have fought their own battles and emerged stronger, sharing raw, real, and authentic stories in a safe space, allowing you to explore, question, and find your own path to new possibilities. Let us all embrace the warrior within and realize that while no one is walking in your shoes, others are on this same path, journeying through life together. Please note that the following podcast may contain discussions or topics that could be triggering or distressing for some listeners. I aim to provide informative and supportive content, but understand that certain things may evoke strong emotions or memories. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or in need of support while listening, I encourage you to pause the podcast and take a break. Remember that it is okay to prioritise your well-being and seek assistance from trained professionals. There is no shame in this. In fact, it is the first brave step to healing. If you require immediate support, please consider reaching out to Lifeline on 13 11 14 or a crisis intervention service in your area. Thank you for listening, and please take care of yourself as you engage with the content of this podcast. Love the Everyday Warriors podcast? It would mean the world to me if you were to leave a 5-star review to ensure that the Everyday Warriors podcast is heard by more listeners around the world. You can also support the show for as little as $5 with a one-time donation or by becoming a monthly subscriber. Your contribution helps me to continue bringing you inspiring stories of everyday warriors who overcome challenges to find strength, resilience, and new possibilities in life. Head to the link to buy me a coffee and fuel the next episode. Every bit counts. If you're looking for an inspiring story of resilience, healing, and rediscovering yourself, then my book, Everyday Warrior From Frontline to Freedom, is for you. It is my memoir of hiking the 1,000-kilometre Bibbulmun Track, a journey that was as much about finding my way back to myself as it was about conquering the trail, through the highs and lows and everything in between. This book is taken from my journals and is my raw and honest experience of overcoming trauma and embracing the strength within. Grab your copy now. Just head to the link in the show notes and let's take this journey together. Welcome to another episode of the Everyday Warriors podcast. And today I have an awesome guest on who I met online as a stranger, and I will tell you our story as we get into it. But please welcome Rhiannon from Queensland.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's such an honour to have you on here. Now, you have such an incredible story and what you're up to these days, but I want to start by going back to where it all began for you, which I think for you is kind of your childhood.
Yeah, I think it is actually. Everything shapes us, I think. So, no, it's definitely been an interesting path, that's for sure.
So what was a big change for you in the very beginning? Like, I know that you were raised by a single parent, and I've been a single parent myself, and I know you're a single parent now too. And that comes with its own trials and tribulations.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing for me growing up, especially with my mum was just so strong and incredible and just always made everything work. So we never had like a lot growing up, and you know, we moved around a lot. Mum always made the best of what we had. But, you know, there was one stage, like in a high school, like for a couple of years, like, you know, we just lived in a shed. There was no running water, no power, no plumbing, no nothing. And the school train used to drive past every day, every morning, and I used to get picked on for that. But the thing that I'm really grateful, because some of my best years were living at the shed. Simple memories, beautiful things. So I think my early life taught me a lot of compassion for people that are in different scenarios and maybe don't have what we have. Materialistic things don't matter, and I think, and it taught me a lot more about like connection and what's actually important in life. So spending quality time with people and doing the right thing, or just good people. Materialistic things don't mean much in my eyes.
I love that, and I think that's something that people forget quite often, especially in the world we live in, where we're such a consumer-driven world, that you're right. Like, people think they're connecting through social media, but there's actually no real face-to-face connection. So I love that you were able to take that learning from such a young age.
Yeah, I've always been a massive supporter, and I think too because like my mum never grew up with much in and out of foster care, and also she had a very rough upbringing, and just incredible what she's done with her life. So I've always had a lot of admiration for people that have like turned their life around or made hard things, come out of that struggle, and just done so much. I'm in awe of women, really. My mum was definitely a massive inspiration. She's incredible.
We are a strong bunch, and I think we do owe a lot to our mothers and grandmothers who have come before us. And then if we've got daughters now, they're our next generation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So obviously that time passed on after living in the shed. What was your then early adulthood like?
Yeah, so when I left school, I was very studious in school. I actually was never really into art really much in school, believe it or not. I used to use my art class. I tried to study chemistry and biology in there because I thought, where am I going to use art? Like, that's not a career. Yeah, so I went from high school, studied for a year down at the Gold Coast at uni, and I seen a flyer for volunteering in Kenya. And I'm very much someone who, if I see something and I decide I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And yeah, I door knocked, sold $1.50 chocolates, $2.50 chocolates, and shoveled horse poop and sold that. I made myself get there. And again, it was another insight into a world where like people who aren't as fortunate and all the things that they go through, just seeing different stories and women in different circumstances. And yeah, it was just amazing. After that, I come back and studied for a little bit. I ended up going and stripping for like 3.5 years. Obviously, I looked a bit younger. Because my mental health started playing up when I was at uni, and I was just struggling a lot, and I didn't have a lot of support around me. And end up stripping for a few years, just very lost. That was when my mental health started playing out. So it's probably about 10 years of just really struggling with my mental health and not understanding what was wrong, because like when you're younger, if you're not taught, if you think like, oh, I'm really sad all the time, well, something must be wrong. Okay, well, I'm going to try and change this or change that, and then maybe, so I started making decisions in my life, trying to help myself, but not realizing that I actually needed medication. So I dropped out of uni and, started making decisions that, while I thought they were going to help me in the moment, probably not. They're not great decisions, dropping out of uni, going stripping for a few years. But in saying that, like, I don't regret a single thing. Like, I've learned a lot from everything I've done. So I used to help my mum with money in that. When I say that, like, I worry about saying that sometimes because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It made me very proud to help my mum. And I was raped. That was hard. But my mum says something to me, and it's always stuck with me, and I use this all the time. And it was, you've either got to choose, like, are you going to let what's happened tear you down and ruin you, and that be the end of it, or are you going to move forward and keep charging on? You can't let something destroy you. In that moment, you've got to decide, am I going to let this bring me down or am I not? And so I use that for a lot in my life, actually. I'll give myself a moment to process, and then I'll be like, right, chuck it under the wing and off we go.
And what your mum said is so poignant, because so often, even as somebody like myself who has, like yourself, been diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress, is that you can either stay stuck in those circumstances and in that experience, and you can let that shape how you move forward, or you can go, right, this happened to me, and yes, it wasn't good, and yes, it comes with all these emotions and all this processing that you have to do. Yeah. But what lessons am I going to take for myself from that to be able to move forward and create something different and beautiful with my life. And I think even just you going back and talking about your stripping and stuff, some people will judge that and go, oh, but realistically, there are girls' lives behind that industry. There are people's lives being affected. And I'm sure that 3.5 years for you, you learned a lot of things about yourself that you didn't know prior.
Yes, definitely. It was actually great in a lot of ways too. Like, it gave me a lot of confidence. Probably, I used to be very self-conscious, like I still am. But one thing that stripping did teach me was that everyone likes something different. And so that was lovely to learn.
Yeah, and I think if you're the most vulnerable, I mean, stripping for me is no different than being on a beach in a bikini. Like, you're practically wearing the same items. Yes, it's a different environment for a slightly different audience, but at the end of the day, how different is it really in the big scheme of things?
Yeah. I find it important for me to talk about the fact that I have done that, because there's a lot of people out there like who would listen to me saying that and be like, oh, tacky, or think X, Y, and Z. But when we all grow up in different circumstances and we all make the best decisions that we can with the options that we have. And I think there's absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. And some people have a household where they don't have to stress about things, or they have everything they're provided, or they go to uni and their parents pay for it. Not everyone has that. And so what I like to do is make sure that I mention these things, because just because you start here or here, it doesn't matter. Like, you can still do whatever you want, and your story is no less important, no matter where you come from, where you started. Like, everyone's story is just important. So yeah, I like to make sure I mention that, because I don't want anyone to think that they're less than for anything they've done.
And nobody should be made to feel less than, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all bleed red.
Yeah,
and we all have a story to share, no matter where we start from, no matter where we finish up.
Exactly.
There's always that saying that you're born on this date and you pass away on this date. And it's what you do with the dash in between. And, you have a whole lifetime, regardless of how long that lifetime is, to create something with your own life. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you said that you were very studious in the beginning and you'd never done art. You used art as your study period. How then did you actually get into art?
Yeah, so my first girlfriend, actually it was my first love, Jazz, she's very into art. And so we'd be hanging out and, she'd be doing some drawing and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'll just start having a little sketch and a little play around. And then, honestly, I just got addicted like that. Art was a great tool. And I started in the beginning just because it's a great tool to sit down and, just let it all out, really. Very meditating, very calming, very therapeutic. And, and then I've just been obsessed ever since. And I just kept painting and started from doing that, and then I'd share a few photos on Facebook and whatnot, and then I made a page, naturally progressed. Yeah, and I'm really stoked about where it's got to now. Yeah, I'm self-taught, so I think I'm very proud.
And so you should be. I think most people underestimate the power of art. They think art is almost something separate to themselves. You either are good at art or you're not good at art. And as somebody who has done art therapy for a healing process as part of the post-traumatic stress, art can play a really big role in actually, like you said, being in a meditative, calming state.
Yeah.
Because art is so individual and so unique. It's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely.
And some people may look at art and go, I don't like it, but then look at something else and go, I absolutely love it. It's so unique and individual. But when you actually sit down to do it, now, for me, I cannot do what you do. Like, what you do is above and beyond. But for me, it's hand drawing mandalas. That was my art therapy. And a lot of people look at those and go, oh, I can't do that. But it's that simple act of just putting pen to paper or paint to a canvas and creating something from nothing that is just part of you coming out on the canvas or the paper.
Yeah, I think art very much is less about the person viewing the art and more about the person creating the art, for sure. And when someone connects with a piece, like, there's this silent communication between the moment that the artist or creator was in when they painted it and the moment that the viewer is in their life, and how that sort of matches up. It's just like this beautiful understanding. Like, you feel like something that you're feeling is seen in a certain way just through how someone else has created their piece. Like you feel seen in a way.
That's such an interesting perspective. I never really thought of it like that, but you're right. It's this communication.
Yeah.
Unspoken communication between the artist and the viewer of that moment in time that they created that piece.
Yeah. I think art's a beautiful way to connect with people.
And so how has your art even impacted, because you're a mother?
Yeah.
How has that impacted even your relationship with your kids and how you parent and things like that?
Oh, I'm laughing because at the moment the kids are in the studio. They like to help me. So all my pieces that I do, all the early layers, I just let them go ham on the canvas and just have a ball and make a mess and have fun. So it's been great in the way for, they get to be creative and have a space where they can sort of zone out and make stuff and be expressive and encourage them with anything that they're making. So I think it's really good for parenting in the sense like you're giving your child a space to create and be themselves, and they get to express themselves and what they make. Yeah, so I think it's lovely. And also, like, say with art and with my kids, like I love that they can see you can make or do whatever you want, right? And I hope that sticks with them. And I think that in life with anything, like anyone can do anything. That's why I always find it interesting when someone's like, oh, I can't do that, or I can't paint. I'm like, everyone can paint. Everyone can do anything. The time you put into it obviously is going to change the skill level, but art is for everyone, and it's a feeling you have when you make something. So I love giving the kids a space where they can sort of just have that moment, and I think it's quite healthy. Yeah.
So cool that they actually get to help you in those early layers by just, like you said, being themselves, throwing paint at a canvas, and then you get to create something magic, not over the top of, but incorporated as part of. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, they love it. I won't lie, there's been a couple of times I've turned around, I'm like, not that piece. But yeah. Yeah, they love it.
So you obviously work pretty much full time now as an artist.
Yeah.
Which brings me to how we connected. And I really want to delve into this space because I came across you. It was either Instagram or TikTok. I was doom scrolling, and there was this woman on a video saying she was doing this thing about bringing women's stories to life. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I really love that concept. And so I sent you an email giving you my story, and then was put as part of a group of ladies on a Facebook group as part of this, what was going on. And then all of a sudden, my name was a part of a list of being painted as a portrait. And I was blown away, just completely honoured that I was chosen out of all those group of ladies. Like, I think you've got 180 stories.
Yeah, it's crazy.
To be painted. So take me back to the beginning, like before I obviously saw that video. What had you come up with this concept of your exhibition?
Yeah, so this exhibition for me is deeply personal. So I never planned actually to do this exhibition. It just naturally come about. So I'd mentioned earlier that I struggled with my mental health for years. So after I become a mum, it was a very lonely time. Partner didn't help much. I didn't have family around. So it was the loneliest time I've ever had in my life. Like, it got to a point where I would sit in the driveway after I dropped my kids off, and I would just sit there and watch the trucks on the highway because we live 2 houses from the highway. And I'm like, I just want out. I can't do this anymore. I just sit there for hours. So it got to the point where I was like, actually starting to scare myself because I'm like, this is not healthy. This is not okay. And I want a life that's better than this. So I ended up going and getting help, seeing a psychiatrist and whatnot. And I got diagnosed with bipolar type 2 and C-PTSD, which comes out as like ADHD. And so I did the hard work of going and getting diagnosed, getting medicated, going and seeing a psychologist, getting help. And so to go from a place in my life where like I was just so low and I'd gotten so small, my voice had gotten small, I lost myself, to get to a place where I'm like, wow, I did the hard work. I am feeling better. Like, I want to live again. I have things. And, and I was like, and all I could think about was like all the women, my mum included, so many women out there that have gone through so many different things in their life, and to come out on the other side, to keep pushing, to keep, just to keep going, and to come out on the other side, and how proud I was of myself. All I could think was like how in awe I was of all these other women, and then all these stories just go unnoticed, all this strength that just goes unnoticed. And I just got so excited, honestly, because I was so excited about my own transformation that I just wanted to celebrate other women. And that's honestly how it come about. I thought, just want to celebrate women. So I wrote my story, and obviously you can only fit so much in 2 pages. I wrote my story and put it out there and said, this is what I'm looking at doing. I want to celebrate you guys, and I want to give a place for your voice to be heard and whatnot. And yeah, that's how the show came about. It was very organic.
So obviously when you're in that lowest point, and I think for all of us, we've all been there at some stage where we feel like we've had our rock bottom moment.
Yeah.
And then the diagnosis of the bipolar, was that kind of like an aha moment, in the sense that you could then start reflecting back on your life, and all the highs and lows in your life actually started to make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I could look back on my life and be like, right, well, now I can see why I did that, or why that happened. And I did a lot of risk taking in my life as well, which, that is a big part of being bipolar. Love living on the edge. Yeah, just so many different things in my life had made sense. It was very I don't know the word, but it was very cool to look back and understand myself and understand my path and understand why I had struggled so much. But then there was also the other side too, when you get diagnosed, and I just felt like I had this massive sign on my head that was, I'm crazy, and like people would think, oh, blah, blah, blah. So just the emotions of going through the different emotions when you first get diagnosed. But there's nothing wrong with it. And I heard this saying that medication is like glasses for the brain, and I love that so much. I really do. I just think that's very eloquent and a lovely way to put it.
And so being medicated, has that helped you level out and balance the high and low emotions, or do you still suffer from those on rare occasions?
Yeah, so I still, I will for the rest of my life go through my ups and downs. Like even now with medication, like I still go through them. It's just more manageable. Like there's sometimes it's still very hard, but nowhere near as consuming and taking over as what it used to. So now like medication has just helped manage the symptoms and side effects of my bipolar. So it's like living with it, not it controlling me. Learning how to manage it. Yeah, it's just been amazing. And the thing is, I was so nervous. I was so scared about going and getting help because I don't want to be crazy or this and that. But I think the more that, people talk about it, when things aren't talked about, fear comes from the shadows and shame comes from the shadows. And then when things are talked about, like there's nothing left to hide from. Medication changed my life, and yeah, I'll forever talk about it in case someone else out there needs to know that like there's nothing wrong with getting medication and help.
And I agree with you that there is something to be said about the stigma that people attach to certain things, like that fear and shadow, and that the more we talk about it and the more we normalize that we are all different and our brains are wired differently, that we all need different ways to function what people consider normal. Because realistically, at the end of the day, what is normal? Is it just a societal thing that we don't?
Normal is what you used to. Yeah.
No, and that's the thing that I think people get so lost in, is that, oh, well, I'm normal because I do this a certain way. But at the end of the day, we're also unique and individual, that like there is no normal, and we function the way we function. And I think it's such an interesting perspective that you said, like, you are not going to let it control you, you are going to control it. And I think that's a fabulous way of living with something, that you will experience these highs and lows, but you get the choice on how you are going to live inside those moments, as opposed to just allowing that to totally consume your life.
Yeah. And then something else I would like to add is, now that I have medication and things are a lot more managed and stuff like that, I love having bipolar. Like, I'll be honest, I love how I'm built, because now that like it's not ruling my life, there are so many aspects of like how my brain operates that it, like what you said, makes you unique. This show that I'm doing, like, massive. I went out on a massive limb, but again, from being bipolar, I love to take risks and I love to just go all in, and that is part of me and my bipolar, and that is a very unique strength and something that makes me different. And so I've gotten to a place where I love me and I accept me, and yeah, I'm proud of me.
Such a beautiful place to be, and you should be totally proud of you.
Thank you.
So let's talk more about this exhibition, which has been pretty much a year or so in the making.
So long. I was so excited. It's 4 weeks out now, which is super exciting. So I wanted this show to be massive, and I wanted it to just be a big space for women to share their stories from struggle to strength. So the exhibition is called If She Spoke, Stories from Struggle to Strength. I've hired the Brisbane Showgrounds John Reed Pavilion, which is 1,700 square metres, which is massive. And I've painted 30 women. These paintings are up to 1.8 by 2.4 metres. Like, these paintings are massive. And I've painted them so big, in all honesty, because I want people to, when they walk into this exhibition, I want it to feel like they're stepping into a museum of, like, these ladies, just these goddesses. You know, when you walk into a really fancy museum or something like that, and there's just all these old school paintings looking at you of people that were prominent in the past. And so for me, with this show, having these paintings so large scale, it's important to me because I want to highlight how amazing these women are, yourself included, and how amazing their stories are. So yeah, this show is going to be amazing. There's 30 paintings. There's over 180 stories that are also going to be on display. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
What has opened up for you inside of actually doing this work? Because it's no mean feat. I mean, it's one thing to paint 30 portraits, but you're doing these huge, large-scale portraits. So obviously they're going to take 3, 4, 5 times the work of a small-scale painting. And obviously sharing these stories and listening to these stories. What has been there for you through this process?
I think the biggest and most beautiful thing that's come out of it for me is a sense of community and a sense of connection. And it might sound corny, but a sense of love, in the sense that we're all in it together. We all go through so much, and we just need to love and support each other, and to listen to each other. I heard this thing on TikTok the other day, and it was like, we just need a witness for our grief in life. We just need a witness for our grief or our pain. And that's what we're doing. And with this show, because, I couldn't put this show on without, all the women sending in their stories, right? So it is a cumulative effort. And we have all done this show. Like, I know I'm in here painting that, but without all the women sending in their stories, there wouldn't be a show. So I just love that together we have come together and we are supporting each other and just making this beautiful space to hear each other, to hear each other's voices and each other's stories. And yeah.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, like what you're creating literally from nothing, from your own story, wanting to empower and impact other women who are part of it, but then obviously all the visitors who are going to come through the exhibition and then see your final work. It's such a transformation, such a journey that you've taken everybody else on in the process. I think it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
I can't wait to see, and I so wish I could be there in person, but as you know, I am flying to the States the same weekend, so my mum is going to be there with a friend of hers to represent me and my portrait and to be part of the show. And I think even for those women, and as we were saying before, like my mum is a breast cancer survivor, her friend is a new widow, and they're in their 70s and they have their own stories from struggle to strength. And for them to actually be a part of that exhibition, to be able to see 30 portraits, read 180 stories and be part of that event, that for them is going to empower them because they know that they're not alone. Even in their older age, as the matriarchs of our community, they are going to offer so much support. And I think that's the ripple effect we never fully get, is how the people who see these portraits, who read these stories, that it's going to impact the people in their lives and their communities and those around them that we never fully get to see and experience ourselves.
Exactly. And sorry, you mentioned being alone. So that was another driving force with this show, is that I just don't want someone to feel alone in their struggle. So if there's someone coming to the show who hasn't sent in their story, maybe who is in a different spot in their journey, I'm really hoping that they will feel less alone by seeing so many different struggles reflected in these stories, because the stories cover everything from DV, rape, mental illness, losing someone. Anything that's sent in is at the show. Like, I'm not editing the stories, I'm not filtering out the stories. Like, it's an honest reflection of what's been sent in. And so I hope that women they might be able to see their own strength reflected in a different story, and just feel less alone. Just feel less alone.
And you've obviously had some major support to put this show together, because it doesn't come without some kind of sponsorship or support behind the scenes. So you've obviously had that as well along the way.
I'll be honest. I do have a couple of sponsors, but I'm pretty much doing the entire show myself, I'll be honest. And so it's been a very big slog, whether like everything from the paintings to the brochures, social media, everything is me. I have a couple of sponsors: Her Way Painting, Credible Painter, SKN Cosmetics, and Creative Hearts Co Gallery is sponsoring the show as well. So they will be coming on the day and doing like some content and stuff. But yeah, no, this show is really me, down to pretty much everything. So it's been a big baby.
That's incredible in itself.
It's been my baby for a year.
That's so powerful in the fact that you are literally putting on this large scale exhibition in a major pavilion at a major showground, and you're literally doing it all yourself. That's such a testament to the woman that you are and have become through your own story. Such an incredible testament to you.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
No, but I really want you to take a moment to just acknowledge who you've had to be in order to pull this off, because this is not a little event. This is not a small scale. This has taken you over 12 months to put together. It's taken you something of yourself to immerse yourself into these women's lives, to be able to paint their portraits and reflect who they are in such a way that is powerful to the viewer, not just what you're connecting with the story, and then to actually represent not just the 30 women who are being painted, not just the 180 stories that you've received, not just your own story, but for every other person who is going to be impacted by this. It is not a small feat. It is actually incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I'm. There's been a couple of different points that I've been like, am I doing this? But yeah, no, once I set my mind to something, that's really it. And I will do everything I can to follow through. And yeah, I'm very excited to see it all come together. And this show for myself as well was, I felt like I not wasted years, but I struggled for so many years. So for me, coming out on the other end, I wanted to do something big, and I wanted to test myself, and I wanted to make something that I was proud of. It's sort of like a big celebration after all the years, if that makes sense. So the show is everything to me, really.
So it should be. I think it's absolutely incredible. And based on that, and I know that it's only 4 weeks away and that you're building up for that, but how does this exhibition then shape you moving forward? Like, what do you see for yourself after this? Because obviously putting something like this together, almost nothing is impossible for you.
I love you saying that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I would definitely, like, I feel like I've found, like, my calling and the thing that makes me happiest the most, and that is combining art with my purpose. And that's, I just want to lift other women up. And so next year, I obviously just want to see how this show goes, how it's received, and everything like that. But it will definitely, next year will be definitely continuing on the path of this. I would honestly, I would love to make this like a yearly show, like a yearly event, and just constantly, have an event that is for women and sharing women's stories and having honest conversations. I would love that so much. I'm not getting ahead of myself yet. I'm going to see how the show goes, take a breath after it, and then, and then see what next year holds. But yeah, definitely, I definitely think next year is going to have some amazing things in it, for sure. I'm on a roll now.
Well, I agree. I think this is just the beginning of what's possible. It's the beginning of it's a culmination of the sort of the end of where you've come from, but the beginning of what's possible moving forward. And
Exactly.
I can see this being bigger and better and not even as just you, but you bringing together empowered women to speak, to create, to bring purpose to, that this will not just be your show, it'll be your run show, but there'll be so many other women coming in to, whether it's keynote speaking or being artists themselves or showcasing something where you're empowering women over a weekend in a way that no one else has before.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I 100% look at it. Yeah, I think this is our event. When I say our, I mean all the women that have helped this event come together by sending in their stories and just supporting. And yeah, I have so many ideas. I won't lie, I have so many ideas and how this could be bigger and better. And so I'm just going to calm the idea farm down and just focus on this show, getting it done. But yeah, next year I've got so many ideas that I would love to do and make it bigger and better. But this is obviously the stepping stone, and yeah, I'm just excited to see everyone's reaction.
No, it'll be absolutely awesome. I know it will be. I want to thank you so much for being part of the podcast and sharing your story, because I love sharing people's stories, and especially those who do empower others. But I'm also completely honoured to be a part of this show. What I submitted as a simple entry has now turned into a beautiful portrait that I can't wait to have in my own home once all of this is said and done. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, girl, for being a part of this. Thank you. And thank you for having me on today as well. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. And I always finish the podcast episode by asking, what is the one thing you are most grateful for today?
Grateful for today? Energy. I know that might sound crazy, but I woke up with energy today. And the more energy I have, the more I can just smash it and get everything done. The more energy I can have to be a mum, a single mum, do everything that I've got to do, energy and love. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Everyday Warriors podcast. If you have an idea for a future episode or a story you'd like to share yourself, then please reach out and message me, as I am always up for real, raw and authentic conversations with other everyday warriors. Also, be sure to subscribe so that you can download all the latest episodes as they are published, and spread the word to your family and friends and colleagues so they can listen in too. If you're sharing on social media, please be sure to tag me so that I can personally acknowledge you. I'm always open to comment about how these episodes have resonated with you, the listener. And remember, lead with love as you live this one wild and precious life.